Okay, we're back to Megilah וחנוכה, to 13, right? So I want to read what we did yesterday and then just read a quick Yad Peshutah to set us up for the for what we're doing today. Shnei hayamim ha'elu shein 14 ו-15 asurim b'sefer b'tanis l'chol adam b'chol makom. Bein livnei krachin shein osin 15 bilvad. Bein livnei ayaros shein osin 14 bilvad. Shnei hayamim asurim b'sefer b'tanis ba'adar harishon ka'adar hasheni. Anshik kfarim. Okay, fine. Do we hold on? Oh, we didn't read that last time. We did read that. Oh no, we did. Okay. Anshik kfarim shekdimu v'karu b'sheni b'chamishi. Hasamach lepurim mutarim b'sefer v'tanis b'yom kriyasan v'asurim b'shenei yamim ha'elu afalpi she'ein korim behem. Okay, I actually want to start from your dalad. Okay, mitzvos yom arva'asar livnei kfarim v'ayaros v'yom 15 livnei krachin lios yom simcha u'mishteh u'mishloch manos l'reim u'matanos l'avyonim. Okay, so on that, the Yad Peshutah says an interesting observation. So there's 4 components of the mitzvahs hayom. 1 simcha, 2 mishteh, 3 mishloch manos, and 4 manos l'avyonim. But now he makes an interesting diuk here. B'kach mavur she'ein simcha davka b'mishteh, ela she'em shnei chiyuvim shonim. So it's clear that simcha, she'ein ha-simcha davka b'mishteh. It's not that you express the simcha through mishteh, but rather they are 2 separate chiyuvim. Okay, I think that in my mind, I thought that the mishteh is an expression of the simcha, but he's saying it's 2 things, and he gives interesting arguments. The kach mufurish b'gemara Megilah hanis galel. So the Gemara darshans them separately. Simcha malamin she'asurim b'hesped, mishteh malamin she'asur b'tainis. Okay, so now you could say that that's just the drasha, but the drasha is treating them as 2 different things, and mishteh as an iser, not mishteh as the chiyuv. Okay, that's just interesting drasha. Meaning that the reason why you need the iser, you certainly can't say that not fasting is partying, right? But presumably that you need an iser tainis to qualify it as a yom mishteh or something of that nature. Okay. Okay, and we're going to get into this later probably when we do the drinking thing. Vav Yud Ches. Okay, so let's just read Vav Yud Ches here. This is by Simchas Yom Tov. Ketza, let's just get rev up into it. Shivas Yimei HaPesach U'Shmonos Yimei HaChag Im Shar Yomim Tovim Kulan Asurim B'Sefer B'Tanis V'Chayav Adam Lios B'Hen Sameach V'Tov Leiv. The person is obligated to be happy and glad on them. Hu Banav Ishto B'nei Beisel Kol Nivim Lav. He and his children and his wife and his household members and everyone who are dependent on him. Shnemar V'Samachta B'Chagacha. You should rejoice on your Chag. Alpha Pisha Simcha Hamura Khan He Korban Shlamim, even though that Simcha in that pasuk is the Korban Shlamim, Kamosha Anu Mavarim Hilchos Chagiga, like we will explain in Hilchos Chagiga, Yesh Bichlal Osa Simcha Lismoach Hu Ubanav Uvnei Beisel Kol Echav Echad Beroila. It is a mitzvah included in that Simcha is for him to rejoice, he and his sons and his household, and each and every one with what is roy for them. Ketzad Haktanim Nosin Ham Klaus Ve'Gozim Umigdanos. Kids, you give them puffed kernels and nuts, and McDonald's I think are cakes. Popcorn, yes, popcorn, or popped wheat, yes. Hanashim, the women, koned lahen beganim v'tachshit kfi mamano. You buy the women garments and jewelry according to your money. Hanashim oklim basar v'shosim yain. Men eat meat and drink wine. She'ein simcha ala b'basar ve'ein simcha ala b'yain. Okay, here's the halacha. Oh no, not yet. When you eat and drink, you're obligated to feed the ger and the orphan and the widow with all the other downtrodden poor people. Someone who closes the gates of his courtyard and eats and drinks with his family, and he does not give food and drink to the poor and the embittered souls. This is not mitzvah simcha, it's belly simcha. As it says in Hosea, their sacrifices are like bread of mourners for them. All who eat it will become tameh. Their bread is for their souls, meaning just for their souls. Their nefesh bamis. Simcha kazo kalan hilam. This type of simcha is a disgrace for them. Shnemar perish. I'll scatter the filth on your faces, the filth of your chagim. Okay, then even though eating and drinking on the festivals is included in the mitzvah to say, Lo yihi ochel b'shosek kol yom kulo, ela kachi hadas. Okay, I didn't realize there was all these things. Okay, baboker mashkimin kol ha'am levati knesses, levati midrashos, palimim according to Torah, v'inyan hayom, v'chozim levatim v'oklin, hokin levati midrashos, according to Vishonim, ad chati hayom, achar chati hayom mispalim tefilas mincha, chozim levatim lechav lishos shar hayom imalala. All right, this is the one I wanted. Okay, I know he quoted the earlier one, but I wanted to read this one. Adam ochel b'shosek semech b'regal, lo yimashich b'yayin v'schok v'kalos rosh, v'yomer shekosh yosef b'zeh yarba b'mitzvah simcha. When a person eats and drinks and semech on the regal, he should not be drawn after wine and schok and frivolity and say, the more I do this, then the more I'm increasing in the mitzvah. Shashikrus v'haschok harbe v'kalos harosh ina simcha ela holulus v'siflos. Because drunkenness and excessive schok and kalos rosh is not simcha, but it's wildness and foolishness. We were not commanded on debauchery and foolishness. We were commanded on simcha that has in it the service of the creator of everything. It says in Devarim, because you didn't serve Hashem your God with simcha, which shows you that it's avoda. And it also shows you that avoda is besimcha. Okay, so classic question, what about Purim, right? So here's a new insight. So what does the Yad Peshutah say? So he says, he quotes all those things, Shikros Eina Simcha, Ulam Bepurim. Now this is not going to fully answer the question, but it's food for thought. Bepurim Yisbar Lefeinu V'Shose Yain Achish Taker. He says that you have to drink wine until you get drunk, right? The Al Korchach, we're forced to say, Shechiyuv Zehu Mitam Mishteh V'Lo Mitam Simcha. Okay, that the drunkenness is a din in Mishteh, not a din in Simcha. Okay, because since the Rambam says that shikrus is not Simcha, you cannot say under any circumstances that you're being Mekayim Simcha through shikrus. But Mishteh, in its actual, just like normal definition, is a drinking party. That's how it's used throughout the Megilah. And the shikrus at the Suda is a din in Mishteh, not a din in Simcha. A very simple move that I just never, the approach I took with this every year was trying to reconcile the drunkenness with the Simcha. Now you could still say, how can you have avodas Hashem at all through any drunkenness? And this Mishteh is part of avodas Hashem. Or you can also ask the question of, it still has to be Yimei Simcha, and aren't you negating that by somehow by engaging in shikrus and being mafkia yourself from Simcha? Those are still questions, but in terms of just a clean halachic step, it's a din in Mishteh, and Mishteh demands that you get drunk. And I think that also is, I'm not saying that either one supports the other, but it's harmonious with what Rav Pesach says every year. Every year that someone asks him this question at the Suda that I've been there, and it's possible that he's changed his thing, but I've heard this many years that that it is modeled after how they celebrated the victory back then. So in a sense, this is not we Jews don't do Mishteh for celebratory stuff, but it is a whether you say it's a zecher or whether you say it is part of Pirsum Hanes. That I don't know what Rav Pesach says, but we are borrowing a foreign institution and engaging in that Mishteh there. So it's not it's the Mishteh is something that occurs within the Yom Simcha, but it's not the expression of the Yom Simcha. And I think that just slightly shifts the way I thought about Mishteh. I thought that was a good deal there. And then he also says, Od Mavur Lefaninu Ki Yimei Chanukah Yimei Simcha Heim Aval Lo Hiskinu Behem Mishteh. And so he's bringing a riot that the Rambam does have Hanukkah as Yimei Simcha, but just without Mishteh. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. So shall we read on in the Halachos? Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of the Mishteh, no, we're not up to that yet. Oh, interesting. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, because we were using this edition yesterday. Yeah. So we're at Yud Daled 2. That's interesting. So he splits into 2 paragraphs, and in the Shelot, it's not 2 paragraphs. That's very strange. Well, how awkward. Okay, we'll use the Shelot. B'nei Kfarim shekadmu v'karu b'sheni v'chamishi. So the B'nei Kfarim who read early on Monday or Thursday, im chilku ma'us la'evyonim b'yom kriyasim. If they distributed money to the poor on the day of their kriya, yatsu. So that implies that they shouldn't, right? That they really should do it on the Yom Arba Asar or Yom Chamisha Asar, but if they did, then they're Yotzei. Aval HaMishteh v'HaSimcha, oh, see, that's another good raya, right? The Mishteh and the Simcha, ein osin osa ela ba'arba asar. We only do it on the 14th. V'im hikdimo lo yatsu. And if they precede then they're not Yotzei. Kind of makes you wonder though what would it mean? I can understand doing the Mishteh, but doing the Simcha, like if you're gonna follow the Yad Peshutah's diuk, right?
Right.
Then that's a little weird. Yeah.
Well, so you're refraining from hesped?
Doing it, I don't know. I mean, lo yatsa. It's hard to reconcile that with an isser, in my opinion. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, let's see if he says this here. Rabbeinu Tzirif Esa. Okay. I read this morning. Okay. Let's actually skip that for now. In osin asar arbasar. V'im hiktimu lo yatsa. Usudas Purim sh'asaya b'layla lo yatsa yidei chavaso. And if you do a Sudas Purim at night, you're not Yotzei. So this is the other thing also. This is the first time he's mentioned Su'uda. And he's going to say Ketzad Chovas Su'uda Zo. But another question is like the relationship between Mishteh and Su'uda. I thought it's the same thing also, right? So it's interesting though that he doesn't say like how could he have done this? Aval. Like why doesn't he just use Mishteh the whole time? Yeah.
Maybe Suda falls under Simcha.
Maybe because it falls under Simcha.
And that Mishteh, like you could do that whenever, like you can even do it in the night, but the Suda itself has to be.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so in other words, okay, I see what you're saying. So if you do a Mishteh at night, you're Yotzei Mishteh, but there is a separate chiyuv of Su'udas Purim. Yeah. So the question then still would be like, why is that a separate thing, or where does that come from? Because I always thought of it up until now when I'm rethinking that Mishteh is a Suda with a specific character. It's a Suda, but with drinking, and so I view them as synonymous. Right? Is that right? Right. Okay. So let's read what he says about the Suda just to set it up. Ketzad chovas Suda zo. Shiocha basar v'yisakin Suda na'ek v'yasher timsa yado v'shosa yain ad shish taker v'yiradim b'shikros. So he eats meat. I don't know. The order always bothered me here. Also, he fixes a beautiful Suda according to what his shir timsa yado, and he drinks wine until he becomes drunk and falls into a deep sleep in drunkenness. Yeah, flow better if he said. Yisakin Suda na kfiyasher timsiyado v'yochal basar v'shosa yain. I don't know why he puts it in this order. Yeah. Okay. Right.
That sounds like the drinking is part.
It does sound like the drinking is part of the Suda. Right. And so it's very inelegant to say that you have a chiyuv Mishteh and a chiyuv Suda. Yeah. Unless you could take this route that there's two things. There's the mitzvah is to make, like I was saying yesterday, the mitzvah is to make it Yemei Mishteh, and the way you do that is through Su'uda with these particulars. So what would this be? Right. I'm still going with that premise that there's shikrus in Mishteh. But what I'm saying though is that the question here is the first question he's addressing is given the fact that there's zmanim harbe, can you be Yotzei if you do the Mishnah on the wrong day? Then the second thing is saying, how do you qualify the Yom as a Yom Mishteh? If you do it at night, is that enough to qualify it as a Yom Mishteh? And the answer is no. It has to be during the day itself. Meaning he's coming to answer two separate questions here. He's not referring to two separate institutions. Yeah.
Maybe Mishteh is defined by being drunk.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you drink the wine at night, but are still hungover come morning, you've been Yotzei drinking wine during the day because you were drunk during the day.
It is an interesting question of the that I have had in the past of like, if someone were to drink wine outside of the context of Su'udas Purim, is that anything? So you're suggesting that it could be, right, in terms of like being Mekayim Yemei Mishteh, but you just wouldn't be Yotzei.
I'm not. He's saying more than that.
Yeah, I know he's saying more than that. I was saying that contained within what you're saying is what. Is that, yeah.
I don't reject that. I'm rejecting what you're saying.
Okay, right. But you see the way I'm reading the Rambam, I think it's just too, because he segues into this whole halacha or paragraphs is talking about the mitzvahs yom arba asar, and then he has to deal with what if you did the different mitzvahs on the different days. And so he's clarifying the Mishteh and the Simchah are only on the 14th and 15th. And now that we're talking about on the 14th, what can you do? And we know that Mishteh has to be you have to be kovet as Yom Mishneh through Suda. But the question is, can you do it at any time of the day or just during the day itself? And that's why he's saying if you do it at night, you're not yotzei. Right. Yeah, that's a separate question. I don't think there is, but I think it's just from the way the Rambam presents it as part of the Suda.
As my head is one thing I would give say, but might still answer the question. So you do the Suda like at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And get really drunk there, then your drunkenness carries over into the day.
Yeah, I mean that's more of a like, you know, I'm sure the Achron deal with that question, you know. Yeah. Okay, so let's yeah.
So one last point. When did you start in the Suda? Does it mean like
say it again? You mean, are you asking why does he use the term masakin or
yeah,
what? Yeah, I assume. So I assume Suda implies lechem. Okay, I don't have a raya for that, but like I assume that. I mean, maybe we can find it. And then yasakin, I don't think it means like. I think that's just the verb you use. I don't think, like, for example, I don't think it could be medayik that you need to prepare it, and if someone like caters it, then like you're not yotzei, you know, and yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah. I'll check through the
Yad Peshutah. You're going to be helping Robertson prepare this for this.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
I'm saying you can more than rather than yourself.
Oh, that okay. Never mind.
So let's plan tomorrow to go through. I'll look through it ahead of time and make sure it's worthwhile for our purposes. See the Yad Peshutah on all these halachos that we just read, and then see what happens.
That is not to say I would not be happy to help Robinson.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. I really want to tell you about this Yad Peshutah thing, but I'll have to like prepare it. Okay. All right. Stop for today.